Back from the dead.
Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Didn't see you there. Welcome back to another tutorial from RightToLeft. On today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make this ugly face. No, not the mask, silly. It's what's on the inside that counts.
So we're back from the dead.
What, not the avocado you were thinking of? That's because this is the Deadpool from the long-forgotten Wolverine. Do you want to see how I pulled this beautiful look off? Well, too bad. But seriously, let's get started. The first step for this look is to apply another Baldcap. I almost hate these things as much as I hate minivans. Seriously. You guys are in for a treat though, because in this video, I'm going to show you how I apply it. But first, tell me something, does this rag smell like chloroform to you? And that's how a bald cap's applied. Moving on to the next step. What? Like you guys really asked for it in the last video. Next, as a precautionary measure, use prosthetic adhesive on a Q-tip to lay your eyebrows down flat, that way they're not ripped off later when you're done with the look. The prosthetics that I used are ones that I made using a flat mold technique. To start off, I got a flat piece of plastic as my base to sculpt on, then I added my clay in the general shape of the prosthetics that I wanted. For this look, I originally wanted to change up the eyes a little bit, just to make it look different. But plans change. I'll explain just exactly what I mean here in a minute.
Back from the dead.
We're back from the dead.
Hell yeah.
After wasting your life away sculpting for countless hours, I went around each piece with an extra strip of clay. This acts as both a reservoir to catch the extra gelatin material and as a border for the prosthetics. That way it makes it easier to remove them from the mold later. To make the mold itself, first I used 2 sheets of foam board that I had cut in half and hot glued them to each side of the base. Don't be shy with the hot glue here. I know I sure wasn't. Pretty sure Fort Knox would have been proud of the structure that I built. Once you have all your walls in place, you want to put something down that's going to help the mold release from itself. What I'm using is a spray-on mold release, but you can use Vaseline or anything like that. Just make sure you put a good amount, that way the mold comes out once it's dry. To make the actual mold itself, I used a 2-part platinum silicone by Smooth On. Measure out equal parts of both A and B and mix them together thoroughly. Remember, thoroughly. Because I knew I was going to be using all of the material, I seen no need to measure, and I just combined them both into a bowl and mixed. Because it was late as the night that I was actually making these molds, I let it set overnight, that way it could set up completely. Remember that part I just mentioned about mixing both parts A and B thoroughly? Yeah. Upon further inspection, I noticed that I did not do such. F me, right? This means that the eye prosthetics that I had spent hours sculpting the night before were ruined, but the mouth wasn't. So I decided to spray a little mold release and go back to the original look. Now, if you're curious on what the material I'm using to make these prosthetics, I have a full tutorial in my last video. Because this version of Deadpool has no eyebrows, I decided to make a skin flap that would eventually go over my eyebrows by smoothing down some gelatin on the back of my mold. To apply the prosthetics, first I put a thin layer of prosthetic adhesive around the eyebrows and on the eyebrows where I knew I was going to put that skin flap to cover them up, making sure to let it dry till clear. After cutting to shape, I simply applied the prosthetic to both eyebrows. To get rid of the edges that are left, use a little bit of witch hazel on a Q-tip. This will help to dissolve the gelatin to where it blends into the skin smoothly. Next, it was time to apply that mouthpiece that I salvaged. Just like before, I used a little bit of prosthetic adhesive and applied it all over my face and the back of the prosthetic, making sure to let both dry until clear. If you notice any edges sticking up, again take a little bit more witch hazel on a Q-tip and dissolve them into your skin. After that, I'm going to apply a couple layers of liquid latex. This is going to help not only to blend the edges of the Baldcap and the prosthetics, but it's also going to add a little bit more texture. I'm adding light layers all over my face and the Baldcap, making sure to let them dry in between layers. After your liquid latex is on, make sure to smack yourself a couple times to make sure everything's right in place. Next, I'm going to apply a matte foundation all over my face, the prosthetics, and the Baldcap. This is going to give me a blank canvas to work with so that I can add more detail later. Because that matte foundation was a cream-based makeup, I'm going to use a little bit of translucent powder and apply it all over my face where I applied the foundation. This is going to help to set the makeup so it doesn't smear. An added benefit of using the powder is you get to look like you've been sneezed on by Scarface. Pro tip, don't do this with a black shirt. To mimic natural skin, I'm going to use different colors from my Skin Illustrator flesh tone palette and flick them all over my face and head. Eventually, I decided to use my finger and a makeup sponge to dab the makeup on all over my face in random places. For the eyes for this Deadpool look, I took a red color from my Ben Nye Bruise wheel and a fluffy brush and decided to stipple on until the shapes were made. Next, taking the bluish purple color from the same wheel, I drew on the wound over one eye. If you look at the character from the movie, he has 3 stitches on the wound on his eye. To make them, I used a little bit of medical tape, cut thin strips, and then stuck them down over top the eyebrow. He also has these weird metal stitch things on his face. To recreate those, I bent up some aluminum foil and then applied prosthetic adhesive on both my face and the back of the metal stitches and glued them on. Next, it's everybody's favorite part. Time to take your shirt off and draw on those weird black shapes on your chest and shoulders that he has in the movie. Be careful when removing your shirt because you don't want to mess up all the work that you've done thus far. Let's watch that part again, but this time in slow motion. For this part, I used the black color from my Mehron aqua color palette and a small brush and drew on the bars and circles exactly as they appeared in the movie. When doing this, make sure that you're not in frame at all so people have no clue exactly how you did it. Gotta keep some mystery about me. After I was done drawing on my cool new tribal tattoos, I used a little bit of barrier spray to seal down the makeup, that way it doesn't smear. After that, this looks done. Like always, if you all enjoyed this video, leave a comment below of what you liked or didn't like, give the video a thumbs up, and subscribe to stay tuned for what I have coming up next. Until then, this has been how to turn yourself into Deadpool from the X-Men Wolverine movie, From Right to Left. You all have a great day. Stay weird.